I'm Yvonne Dixon, one of the wedding editors. This is the podcast where we talk about weddings honestly. The beautiful bits, the stressful bits, the things no one tells you, and the decisions that can save you time, money, and quite possibly your sanity. Episode 6, the guest list that nearly ended the engagement. So, the wedding nightmare. You've said yes. You're engaged, you're blissfully planning your perfect day, and then someone mentions the guest list. Suddenly, your intimate 60-person wedding has become a 150-person obligation. Your future mother-in-law has invited people you've never met, and your partner has gone suspiciously quiet every time you raise it. Maybe it's your dad who wants to invite his golf club. Maybe it's his mum who hasn't spoken to Auntie Diane in 4 years, but absolutely cannot not invite her. Maybe it's the friendship group who assume they're all coming as a package deal, plus one's included, because that's just how it's always worked. The guest list is where more pre-wedding arguments happen than anywhere else. It's not the dress, it's not the venue, not even the seating plan, which, let's be honest, is really just guest list problems in disguise. It's the first moment two families' expectations, budgets, and definitions of close family collide. And it usually happens before you've even picked a date. And we need to talk about it. So the reality check. Every extra guest has a cost. Not just the per head catering fee, but the venue upgrade, the extra favour, the table arrangement, the stationery, the space. Add 10 guests to a wedding costing £150 a head, and you've just suddenly spent £1,500 you didn't budget for. And that's before you've even thought about whether your venue can even physically hold them. Guest list decisions are rarely just logistical. They're political, emotional, and deeply tied to family dynamics and expectations. And a guest list isn't really a list of names. It's a map of every relationship in both families laid bare on a spreadsheet. On top of this, whoever is contributing financially to the wedding often expects a say in who attends. And that's a conversation to have before the deposit is paid, not after your mum's added 12 names you've never heard of. Plus ones are expensive. And a blanket plus one policy where every single guest gets to bring someone can add 20 to 30% to your guest count overnight. And that's not a rounding error, that's a second venue upgrade. So what about children? Include them or don't, but you need to have a consistent rule. It's inconsistency that causes more upset than the decision itself. The one thing guests notice faster than anything is favouritism, whether it is real or perceived. So how do you avoid this? Right. Agree on your total number before you start inviting anyone. Once names go on a list, they're almost impossible to remove. Nobody wants to be the couple explaining why Cousin Steve got uninvited. Decide up front who has authority over the list. You two, or a wider family discussion. Then hold that line. This is the conversation most couples skip, and it is actually the one that causes the most damage later. So at the very beginning, create tiered lists. A list, they're your definites. B list, if people decline. Nobody needs to know which tier they're on. And if you're sending B-list invites, stagger them sensibly so it's not obvious. And for plus ones, good idea is to set a rule. Partners of a certain relationship length only, or all or nothing by group. Whatever you choose, apply it evenly. The moment you make one exception, you've made a precedent, and precedents get remembered. If family are contributing financially, have the numbers conversation before you accept any money. Money with strings attached is still money with strings attached, even if nobody says the word strings. If children aren't invited, communicate this early and consistently, and make sure your own siblings' children are treated the same as everyone else's. Nothing undoes an adults-only policy faster than an exception for your own family. I remember very well the bride who sent out 80 invitations to meet her venue minimum, only for 78 of them to RSVP yes, including people she'd been absolutely sure would decline. The venue couldn't accommodate that many, and the catering costs doubled overnight. So the lesson here, never assume decline rates. And then there was the groom who agreed to his mum's guest list additions over text, one sure fine at a time, until his fiancée discovered 22 extra names on a spreadsheet he'd never mentioned. The real fight wasn't actually about the guests. It was about the 3 months of his silence. And then another story There was a couple who gave one single friend a +1, just this once, then spent the next 6 weeks fielding, well, why not me, from 4 other guests. The lesson: there's no such thing as a quiet exception on a guest list. Everyone, repeat, everyone compares notes. So let's head to today's takeaway, Weddits. And we're going to start with Weddit number 1, the +1 trap. Every just one more +1 adds up fast, and taken into consideration at an average UK wedding spend of, say, roughly £100 to £150 a head, saying yes to 10 extra +1s can quietly add £1,000 to £1,500 to your bill before you've even touched the flowers. Weddit number 2. The B list isn't a secret. Nearly every couple keeps a quiet B list for when declines come in, and nearly every couple insists no one will ever find out. They will, and they do. Guests compare notes, invites go out in visible waves, and second round invitations are one of the most common sources of wedding drama on the guest side. Weddit number 3, big one, kids or no kids. It isn't a suggestion. Adults only on the invite doesn't stop at least one guest from asking you, can I bring the baby though? Couples who state the policy clearly in writing and hold the line the first time it's tested, trust me, get far fewer awkward follow-up messages than those who leave it vague and hope for the best. So here we are. It's time for a little cheeky Celebrity Confidential. And as you know, I never name names, but I can tell you this. Celebrity weddings handle guest lists in a very specific way. The A-list is tiny, heavily NDA'd, and often only told the location 48 hours before. The wider celebration comes later with a second event for industry contacts and friends of friends. So 2 events, 2 budgets, 2 vibes. Not always practical for the rest of us. Most of us don't have a publicist managing our seating chart, but the principle of separating intimate from social does have its merits. If your must-invite everyone list is spiralling, a smaller ceremony followed by a bigger party might solve more problems than it creates. So, what have we got coming up next? In closing, if you have found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who needs a little calm in their wedding planning journey, and you'll find the link to join us in the show notes. It is, of course, completely free. Next week, we're going to pull back the curtain on wedding planners, what they actually do, what they definitely don't do, and how to know whether the person you've hired is the real thing or just very good at Instagram. As always, I'll bring the reality check, you bring the vision, and together we'll meet somewhere sensible in the middle.